In the name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true God, and Amen we trust, as should I say, the one and only true Lord. I got to get out of saying God. I got to back it up. The one and only true Lord, and Amen we trust, as the Republic of ᴛＧᴇRŊ, the true 144,000 that's being gathered in this day and time, the real new covenant, the bright race, not the black race, the bright race. Good evening. I am your host, the intellectual Nuben Menkares, and this is Mentellect Radio. And tonight, we're going to be examining. I'm not going to say re-examining because I touched on certain things like this before, but I'm going to examine this. Examining the hate therapy behind the illogical attacks on Dr. Malachi Z. York, my mentor. Right? Proud to say that this man was my mentor, and still is, just as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is my mentor. Why are they my mentors? Because I am in alignment with those two great men as two bright leaders, not black leaders, but bright leaders, highly intelligent leaders. I said that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a bright man who led an organization full of black people. I'm going to say it again. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a bright man who led an organization full of black people. And what I mean by that is, when you are one who is highly intelligent, highly advanced in your thinking, prophetic in your reception and your thought, the one who sees the bigger picture in everything that you're doing, the one who's calculating, you are no longer a black man. You are a bright man. You are a highly intelligent man, and a bright man is a very dangerous man, meaning that he incites in black people and white people fear. An intelligent, bright man, right? I'm not talking about no color and all that, because there ain't no such thing as black people. I done broke down before that black and white are states of frequency and reception, right, and class. And bright represents the highest form of reception and transmission. So when I say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not a black man, he was a bright man, one of solar intelligence, I mean that, just like Dr. York. He was another one who led a bunch of black people, and he happened to be a bright man leading a bunch of black people. He saw the bigger picture in the things that he did. This is how he was able to become a leader like he did. You had a few bright people that followed him. This is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made the statement. He said at the end of all of this, he said when his life came to the end, he said, all of my true followers will be able to fit into a taxi cab. Now, he had hundreds of thousands of followers. Why would he say that? He said that because he knew that the people that were following him were not his true people. Some came, a lot of them came for many different reasons. A lot of them came because they were trying to clean themselves up. Some came because they were, they wanted to bring their families into it and have something to guide their families by, which is nothing's wrong with that. Some came because they were, trying to get away from bad habits. Others came because, they attracted to people who are trying to get themselves right, but they want to hide their negativity amongst a bunch of people who are trying to be right. This is why your church is so full of negative people, because you might have certain people in the church who are trying to get themselves right, and then that attracts people who are trying to keep you on the path of doing something wrong. So those kind of people are attractive to people who are trying to do the right thing, who are working to it in some way, shape, or form. And unfortunately, those negative people outnumber the positive people. And that is the same thing that happened in the movements of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam and amongst the Nuwapians. You had a lot of negative people that came, right? A lot of black people who came, and they brought a black mentality, a.k.a. a limited mentality, a destructive and negative mentality, into these organizations. They didn't come into these organizations to enhance it or further it. They came in to tear it down with their limitations, with their mental limitations. Black people and white people hate bright leaders. They hate bright people altogether. When you have a bright leader, one who is not thinking on the low level of a black man, right? When you have a bright man or a bright woman who is not thinking on the low level of a black man and a black woman, you will hate it. Black people would say, who this uppity nigga think they is, right? And white people will say, who this uppity nigga think they is. It's the same mentality. It's the same mentality. And I've been studying and watching the mentality of black and white people, and it is exactly the same. It is exactly the same. Limited, prejudicial, right? Ignorant. I just watched just on some of the videos I did, the brothers put up on the Mentellect channel 144, all the ignorant comments I got from black and white alike. They couldn't question what it is I was teaching in the extraterrestrial video, which got the radio show that was put up on Mentellect Radio, which is now at 135,000 views. Right, one of our biggest one of our biggest productions that was put out. On here, we got all kinds of ignorant white people, ignorant black people who coming on here saying all kinds of stupid, negative things, right? Some even threatening. And I'm like, you doing all of this because of some information, some intelligence inside of a video? I mean, if I wasn't going to ask an intelligent question of a person who I just watched a video, I'm sure not going to threaten them or say something negative. Why would I waste my time doing that? What do I get out of that? If you don't understand something, if you don't agree with it, you either don't watch it or you question it. I mean, it's that simple. To curse somebody out and call somebody a name because you don't agree with what's said in the content of somebody's video or book or whatever, that's pure ignorance. That's pure ignorance. And I got it from both sides, black and white, equally. Got it from both sides. So I see, even what Dr. York is going through, what Elijah Muhammad went through, they dealt with it from both black and white. Limited people, negative people. And they carry that hate inside of them. Because an intelligent, bright man, right, once he is elevated from a black man, or he never really had the seed of being a black man inside of him, he didn't have the seed of limitation in him. Once he was able to see a bigger picture beyond what the average black man sees, he becomes a threat to white people and a threat to black people. Because you won't stay in the place where they feel you belong. Black people want who they consider to be other black people, meaning if you look like them, you got a certain skin tone, right? And your hair is a certain texture, you're supposed to act like so-called black people expect you to act like. You're supposed to be what they expect you to be. You're supposed to think in a limited way of. You're supposed to think in a limited way of setting or a limited way of thinking as they expect you to think, like them. And if you don't do that, then they're going to attack you. They're going to attack you. They're going to curse you out. They're going to call you all kind of names. They're going to insult you, right? Because black people expect their leaders to be just like them. Failures. Black people expect their leaders to be just like them. Failures. Losers. And you know why that is? Because black people have this Jesus mentality. They could say they don't, but they do. Why do I say they have this Jesus mentality? Or this want to follow a Jesus mentality? A loser. Because Jesus was a loser. I'm going to just say it like that. Jesus Christ in your Bible was a loser. Right? He was put on a cross and hung on a cross. And the biggest thing that your so-called Christians celebrate is him being killed and hung out on the cross and resurrected. But his life, the 33 years that he was supposedly here, that this character existed, he lived as a vagabond, a working class person, basically a loser. Right? He preached a doctrine that not many people was listening to. Right? He wasn't successful. And the white slave masters told black people that this is your hero. They said that this character, Jesus Christ, in your time of slavery and suffering should be your hero. And y'all said, yeah, that's right, the downtrodden one, the one who's not going to ever raise up the people, that one who's always going to be a vagabond, who's always going to be struggling, the one who's always going to not bring the people up. That's going to be our hero. And so you demand that your heroes be like that. You demand that your heroes be like that, losers. People who do not succeed in the mission they set out to do. You demand that of your leaders. If you find leaders who actually succeed at what they're doing, you don't like them. You don't like leaders that succeed. Black people don't like leaders that succeed. Because then what that does is it flashes the light on the fact that you're not succeeding, that you are not doing anything. Black people, especially black men, they hate to see who they consider to be other black men succeeding. They don't like that. And especially if they're doing it without the white man. Because I said those type of so-called black men are actually bright men. They're not black men. They're bright men. They're on a higher level. And they're not there because of no Freemasonry, and they're not there because they did something with the Illuminati, like a lot of you so-called black men like to say. You like to make the excuse that if a so-called black man, aka a bright man, gets to a certain level and thinks on a higher level, then he got to be into Freemasonry, you know what I'm saying? Or he got to be down with the Illuminati or whatever you say to justify your failure. The people that's hating on Dr. York, a lot of these guys are taking shots at Dr. York. A lot of young guys who, like I said, when Dr. York was out and active and teaching over 15 years ago, his man been locked up for 15 years on some trumped-up rape charge and pedophilia and all kind of other nonsense. The same people that wanted him locked up, the government, who came up with these trumped-up charges and got his son to sit up here and bring up these charges and falsify these charges with a bunch of people who was in his community that conspired against him, the very same people that did that, the white man was able to reach out to those kind of people because they already know in a so-called black organization there's always disgruntled people. They always know it's disgruntled people. They study black organizations. Going back to Marcus Garvey, they know it's going to be an element of disgruntled people in any so-called black organization. And they look for those disgruntled people. And if they don't exist, they create those kind of people. They create disgruntled people. If they can't find those kind of people, they create them. They send them into organizations. They pay them. They make them agents. This is how they do it. Because black people do not want to succeed. Black people do not want to succeed. They want their leaders to be losers like them. Because in their mind, failure is the only option. Black people do not see themselves succeeding in anything. Failure is the only option. Limitations is the only option. And when you start seeing people who think on a higher level beyond your limitations, you hate those people. You turn just like the white man. Who that nigga think he is? What he doing thinking on what he talking about this spaceship stuff? What he talking about he can levitate? What he talking about he Melchizedek or Yanun and all these things? Why he can't levitate himself out of jail? He ain't nothing but a rapist and a child molester. These are the things they say about Dr. York. A man who's been teaching for over 40 years. A man who has built up communities. Answer Allah, Nawapi, and built up communities, wrote over 1,000 books. Right? Is responsible for bringing out advanced minds like myself. Being an open door to the advanced minds of myself. Bringing me toward Amen, to the higher self. Inspiring people for over 40 years. On the black side, who could not find the inspiration in themselves, who are basically doing nothing with themselves, and they hate Dr. York because of that. See, calling Dr. York a rapist and a child molester is like therapy for the hater. See, the therapy is that Dr. York, a man who was living in my time, he's not, he didn't die 40 years ago. He didn't die 50 years ago. He didn't die 100 years ago. He is living in my time. He accomplished these things of writing all these books, building up communities, being a great teacher and all this other stuff, gaining a lot of followers and people that were just listening to him and influencing a lot of people. This man is achieving so much, and I'm not achieving nothing. I'm a loser. You're going to think to yourself, I'm a loser compared to this guy. Who this nigga think he is shining the light on me being a loser? So what balances out the playing field is Dr. York, a child molester. That make you feel better about the fact that you losing. You don't care whether he actually did it or not. You don't care about that. All somebody got to do is say it, and that's good enough for you. The people that's saying this junk. That's all you got to say. All you got to hear is an allegation. And that's good enough because it makes you feel better about the fact that you're doing nothing with your life. Here's a man that in the last 15 years still is relevant because he's been locked up for 15 years, and you still got people talking about him, calling him a child molester, people who have dedicated their lives to talking about Dr. York, dedicate their time to going to places to debate his son Prince York about Dr. York's innocence. 15 years. When I watch this debate, and I let myself watch this *ᴨ nonsense, I watch this garbage of Prince York going over there and debating about his father's doctrine, right? I watched this nonsense. I let myself watch this nonsense, right? And all it was a bunch of simple-minded niggas sitting up here questioning about whether Dr. York could levitate, why did he molest some kids and all this other nonsense, just insults and attacks. Prince York came there with those brothers to talk about the teaching and whatnot and where they should go from there and uniting the people and what's best for black people. And this is what he got. He got met with ignorance and stupidity and foolishness. And he did it to himself. I'm going to say it like that. You did it to yourself. Because what Prince York has not learned yet is that you cannot go to black people with nothing. Black people don't want nothing. Okay? His father had to learn the hard way. Black people don't want nothing. They don't want to change anything. They don't think it's possible to change anything. If so, they would have did it already. How many times you keep hearing these niggas in the conscious community talking about, oh, we need to get together, we need to come together and decide what we're going to do under one thing, but yet they never do it. That's just talk. They don't want to do it. They don't want no solution. They don't want that. And for Prince York to sit up here and waste his time going and sit up in Harlem to talk to a bunch of simple-minded niggas who only want to insult people and talk nonsense and foolishness on a man who has dedicated his life to building up communities and teaching people for years. Your father. For you to dishonor your father's name by doing that, Prince York, I don't know what to say. You young. And I'm not hating on you. I understand you want to defend your father's teaching and you want to spread your father's teaching. I understand that. I understand you want to defend your father. As a son, you should want to defend your father. But what you're doing is falling on deaf ears. All they want to hear about is Dr. York being guilty. That's all they want to hear about. All they want to do is make jokes about Dr. York. Disrespect Dr. York. That's all they care about. They came there to do that. They don't care about no Nwapu. They don't care about what you're teaching. They don't care about the 40 years work Dr. York put in. They want to focus on some nonsense about him molesting children. And we're going to examine that in a minute. Because everything is no holds barred tonight. I went up here and I said what I said because I'm a strong advocate of Dr. York. That's my mentor, just like I would stand up for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Both of them are two great mentors of mine. And I'm not shook by stuff people say. You understand that? I looked in the Lamb's eyes. I saw that he made himself a willing sacrifice to go through what he's going through. Because anybody with a brain in their head know this is nothing but a bunch of trumped up charges by a bunch of people who want to see Dr. York going, both black and white. Don't want him coming out of jail. Don't want to see that bright man walking free again. Don't want to see that. A lot of people profited off of that and are still profiting off of that. And that is a testimony to that great man's work. Y'all don't like Dr. York, just say that. Don't say, oh, you got a problem. Oh, you believe he was a child molester and you don't care about that. You don't give a damn whether he molested children or not. You don't care whether he's a homosexual or not. Y'all don't care about that. You don't like Dr. York. So whatever somebody negative say, you with it. Because you don't like Dr. York. Because Dr. York makes your life look like shit. You black men out here who hating on Dr. York. He makes your life look like nothing. Because I'll ask you, all you people that sit up here and talk about Dr. York, what are you doing in your life? What are you doing in your life? Them guys that came up there was questioning Prince York, that same guy, that light-skinned Spanish guy, all them guys that came up there who questioned Dr. York and whatnot, questioned Prince York about Dr. York, I wonder, what are they doing in their life? What are they accomplishing in their life? Why is it that you're still talking about a man who's been off the scene 15 years? A man who in his 70s, an old man. What is it that makes you want to travel all the way to Harvard, travel up to go into a conference to take shots at a man who's been off the scene for 15 years? What are you accomplishing in your life? A real man who is doing something in his life don't do stuff like that. They don't got time for that. You're too busy accomplishing things in your life. If Dr. York died tomorrow, like I said, he already accomplished everything he had to do in his life. He was successful. He was successful. He built up communities. He raised the minds of the people. He wrote all these books. Whether you acknowledge the books to be true or not, they affected a lot of people in good ways. You understand that? Whether you acknowledge that he can levitate and have all these powers, it don't matter whether you accept it or not. Because no matter what Dr. York said, no matter what he do, you just don't like Dr. York. That's all it's about. It ain't about nothing logical. It's not about nothing logical. You could believe that Dr. York is a child molester because, like I said, again, you'll believe that because it fits your paradigm of scope of what a black man should be. Because as soon as a so-called black man is raised into that level of being a bright man on another level, accomplishing things, you don't like that. All the people who talking about Dr. York should be on Dr. York level. As far as I'm concerned, you should have you should have 1,000 books written. You should have 1,000 books written. You should have been on set up communities already. You should be doing way more than what Dr. York did to be talking about Dr. York. But if you a bum ass nigga and you ain't did nothing in your life, you should keep your goddamn mouth shut. If you walking around here trying to get some influence on Sarnetta TV, you understand? Because you trying to talk about the next man, you need to sit your ass down because you ain't doing nothing for the people. You got no plans for the people. All the people that sit up here and talk all this crap about Dr. York, what are they doing and what is their plans for the people? What are they doing? What are they doing? But it's hater therapy. It's hater therapy. Straight up. It's hater therapy. It's just straight up hater therapy. It's therapy for the hater. It's therapy for the black men who wish they could teach their people, who wish that they can write all those books, who wish they could set up communities. But because they can't, they don't have the mind to. They're not bright men. They are limited black men. Then, of course, if you say bright man look like you, well, that nigga think he doing. He a faggot. He a child molester. Because that make you feel better about yourself. It ain't about Dr. York. It's about you. It's about you. You understand? It's about you. You understand that? It's not about Dr. York. It makes you feel better about your life that is going nowhere. You a zero. You niggas are zeros, man. You're going to always be zeros, and you know it. Dr. York did more in 15 years of being locked up, still writing books and corresponding than you niggas are doing free in the world. He did more. You talking about Dr. York molested a bunch of kids. He's a homosexual. The man got over 200 children. The women said that he got over 200 children. How gay could he be? Then they go, oh, he a bisexual. Okay, it's the same three women that's saying the same thing. Right? The same 2 or 3 women who was his lovers, who was in bed with Dr. York, who had sexual intercourse with Dr. York, according to them. So how gay could the man have been? He got over 200 children, right? And those women were his concubines or his second wives or whatever they called themselves, co-wives. But yet I still ain't hear no man talking about how Dr. York bent him over. I still ain't hear no man never talking about he had sex with Dr. York. I didn't hear that. So where's the homosexual part? They like, yeah, he gay, and they don't know how gay Dr. York is, but he was screwing y'all. So how gay could the man have been if he was having sex with you? And you still ain't produced no man who said he had sex with Dr. York, unless y'all gonna make somebody up after 15 years. Where's the gay guys that had sex with Dr. York? All I heard was a bunch of angry women who, like the black woman do. You know when the black woman mad, you a faggot. That first thing she'll say to the man, he a faggot. Once she mad, right? She attack his manhood, and then she'll spread it around. That nigga gay. Even if she got to make it up. That's the first thing she do. That's a kick in the testicles. That's a kick in the nuts. You a faggot. And then she's going to tell your friends, and she's going to spread it around, even if she got to make it up. I saw a bunch of angry black women there that was talking about Dr. York. And they said, and I'm going to tell you all the things they said in the video, because the video is actually kind of funny. This guy, Chuck Morgan, put it out there. I heard things about this guy. Right? I'm not going to go into that. But he's the guy that keep putting out all these videos on Dr. York. I'm like, damn, 15 years later, you still talking about Dr. York? You still got this anti-Dr. York thing going? So I asked the guy on the video, I said, no, you sure nobody paying you for this? He goes, no. I said, really? So you mean to tell me, because I looked at your page, and you look like you're getting a little bit of money. You look kind of strong, player. You got all this time to dedicate to putting up pages and doing interviews and talking about Dr. York, a man who's been locked up for 15 years. You got all this time to dedicate to that? That's strange to me. That's strange. What man does that? Hell, you making a living off Dr. York. You making a name for yourself. Nobody would know Chuck Morgan if it wasn't for Dr. York. Who the fuck is Chuck Morgan? Who are you if it wasn't for Dr. York? Who are these women if it wasn't for Dr. York? This guy that came up there was questioning Prince York. Nigga, who are you if it wasn't for Dr. York? Because obviously nobody knows y'all. Without Dr. York, nobody knows you. Excuse my language tonight. It's raw and uncut night. So like I said, put the kids to bed, man. Because that Prince York thing pissed me off. It pissed me off. Not that you was defending your father, Prince York. Not that you was defending your father. But that you would actually give time to going and talking to these niggas. That you would even give your energy to that. Your father was way better than that. That you would actually give time to talking to niggas. You understand? Limited niggas who ain't going to do nothing but sit around. All they got is the mental capacity to sit around and insult people. Like a bunch of clowns. But they the big jokes. Nobody takes them seriously in the world. They're not taken seriously. If these niggas in that room die tomorrow, don't nobody care. If Dr. York die, a lot of people going to care. Them niggas die tomorrow. That nigga that was talking to you and questioning you, that fat Puerto Rican who was questioning you, if he died tomorrow, don't nobody give a damn. If Chuck Morgan died tomorrow, don't nobody care. Maybe his family. Dr. York died, a lot of people gonna care. They're gonna be angry about it, upset about it, happy about it, but they're gonna care. They're gonna know about it. But see, you niggas, you go in obscurity, man. You die in obscurity. Dr. York gonna live forever. Whether you say he a pedophile, whether you say you're homosexual, whether people think that he the greatest author in the book and master teaching, or he lives in the minds of people forever. You can't always be positive in the minds of people, even if you make a negative impression. That's fine. Positive, negative, it don't matter. He's there in people's minds forever. Y'all are going to disappear into obscurity. You need Dr. York to make yourselves relevant, because without Dr. York, y'all a bunch of goddamn nobodies. You made money off Dr. York's name. And you're still making money off Dr. York's name. This chick, these women that they had on this video, that was laughable. They're going to say Dr. York talked about how he was raping people. When he was a young man, he would go around raping people with a bunch of other group of men. They would grab white boys off the street and rape them and stuff like that. Now, question. This is the most ridiculous thing. They said Dr. York was a rapist when he was young. He was raping other men with a group of other young men, and that he was in jail raping a Spanish guy, and they was having sex and all this homosexual stuff. So my question is this. They were saying Dr. York said all this stuff in Brooklyn in the Bushwick community. You mean to tell me you saying that this man is raping, he's molesting kids in the Brooklyn community? He's telling you that he was a rapist in his younger days, but y'all still stayed in the community and followed him? Y'all said that story circulated all throughout the community, and people knew about that. But then in the next clip, they say Dr. York don't like rumors. They were saying Doc don't like rumors. They didn't like rumors circulating. But if he's telling everybody that that's a rumor that he's circulating, that don't make sense. What don't make sense is if I'm going through all of this trouble to keep this persona up, that I'm the master teacher, that I'm Yanun, that I'm the lamb, and I need you people inside the community to edit books, to help me put things together, to run the community, to set up classes and stuff like that. I need more than anything for you to believe that I'm the Lamb and that I'm Yanun and I'm that I'm master teacher and I'm a ɪʟʟᴏឡɪ and all these names. So why would I show myself as something lesser than that to you? Why would I talk about things I don't have to talk about that's going to make you look at me in a negative way? See, I listen to everything. I let myself listen to it, and I listen with an unbiased mind. I said, I thought, could he be guilty? Could he be innocent? Could he be guilty? Could he be innocent? And I don't go based off of emotion. I don't go based off of emotion about anything. I go based off of the logic of what I'm hearing. Everything with me goes in, I'm thinking about everything that's being said and the probability and the possibility of it, and does it make sense? And nothing they said made sense. You're going to tell me that this man told you all this stuff about him that he supposedly did, that he raped women with a bunch of young guys, that they robbed and stole and all this. That ain't looking like the Lamb to me. That ain't looking like no extraterrestrial. That's not looking like no Yanun and no Archangel Michael. That's not looking like that to me. That's looking like a nigga. That's looking like a dirty nigga. So if you telling me he told y'all all that and y'all still stayed in the community, y'all a bunch of dirty ass niggas too. Y'all dirty too. If y'all follow a man after he told you all that and you still followed that man for years and laid with that man, what does that make you females that laid with him after he told you that? And you was in New York City where you could have gotten Bushwick is separated, got trains everywhere. You could have walked right out the community. There wasn't no gates there. You could have walked out and went someplace else. You're going to sit there and tell me that he did all those things and y'all still stayed in that community? You're going to tell me that? Oh, we didn't know. We was brainwashed. We didn't know where to go. And you mean to in New York City, you didn't know where to go. You didn't have no family in New York City. I find that hard to believe. All those trains, ain't nobody held you hostage. It wasn't like you was someplace in a remote place somewhere. You understand? You was in New York City, where there's trains everywhere. There's shelters everywhere. There's women's centers everywhere. There's police everywhere. You mean to tell me this man did all that raping on little kids and stuff like that, and their parents was there, and he molested all these people and young girls and did all the stuff he did? Nobody went to the police on him? Nobody went to the police. Nobody said nothing. But and then you saying he was walking around talking about how he was gay and how he raped a whole bunch of men when he was with a bunch of young other men, and they was going to throw somebody off a roof, and he was in jail with a Latino man, and he was having sex with him. All this filth you said, but y'all still followed the man. If I would have heard something like that, or I would have heard that coming out of his mouth, I would have been packed up and left the next day, within the next hour. I ain't following nobody like that, but you stayed and followed the man. So how sick are you? How sick are you? How sick are you that you claim that you moving on, but 15 years later you still telling the same story? I wouldn't want to have nothing to do with it no more. I would have just moved on. I don't want to do no interviews. I don't want to talk about it no more. You understand? I don't want to talk. I want to go live my life. But you're still talking about it 15 years later? Why? Because you're getting paid. Somebody's paying you to do that. Just like y'all got paid when y'all went on Martell's show with that bullshit. You got paid when you went on Martell's show. Y'all went on there for free. The FBI didn't give you no money. Chuck Morgan didn't give you no money. I find that hard to believe. After 15 years, you still saying the same thing? If there was no money involved, I would have moved on. I would have moved on. But what amazes me is that people actually believe this bullshit. They actually sitting up here believing this. Because black people don't think. You don't think. You mean to tell me this man has been doing this for the past 40 years because he was in New York City and the Ansar Allah Bushwick community in Brooklyn, he was down there from 1970 to 1990 something, over 25, 26 years down there, and you mean to tell me he was molesting all these people's kids and touching all these people and nobody went to the police? So why the parents ain't locked up? Why ain't everybody in the community locked up? You mean to tell me this monster was walking around Bushwick molesting everybody's kids? He got 200 kids of his own. Ain't bad. He's screwing all these women, but now that ain't enough for him. He got to have sex with little boys. He got to have sex with little girls. He got to have sex with other men. He got to be the most sexually deviant person on the planet, huh? And y'all stayed in the community run by a man like that? Are you kidding me? Does that even sound logical? Does that even sound probable? This is what you saying. One of Dr. York's sons said they had to not even when they gave him the counts on the rape charges, they said that they had to cut out some of the charges and whatnot because it sounded too over the top. It was too fantastic to believe. It was too over the top, as he said. His son Ali York, they had to cut down some of the charges to make the prosecution or whatever make it fit. So already you altered the case, because if you have to make something believable, then it's a lie. If you have to make something believable, which means a whole lot of people is lying, and you got to say things and you got to alter it to make it believable, then that means it's a lie. Because if he did all these things, then you're supposed to charge him with everything. You don't charge him with what people are going to believe. You don't. Who decides, oh, we're not going to charge him with all the other stuff people said because we want to make sure that it's believable. If you got to make something believable, then that means it's a lie. It's a lie. And like I said, I'm not saying it from no emotional standpoint. I'm addressing it from a logical one. Because I was, it was in my head to do this after I seen the Prince York interview. Then his sister Sindira, she was like, and I don't know, she just came out of nowhere. She was like, you should do one on Dr. York. She saw the same thing. She was like, damn. She's like, you should do one on Dr. York. And she took it right out of my head. I said, I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's Saturday night. I've been hitting some hard, heavy subjects, breaking down the Lord and God and the devil. I've been going hard body with that. So I said, let me go ahead and, let me give one out to my mentor. Let me go ahead and shout one out to my mentor. Let me give one to Malachi. Because you goddamn haters that's talking all this nonsense, all this stuff is nothing but a bunch of hearsay and foolishness, and we already know what you're motivated by. You niggas are jealous, man. You're jealous. You angry. You mad. You mad because Dr. York was smart. He was intelligent. And here's another thing. Here's a man who can have all the women he wants. Obviously, the man he got 200 children. And this is from the women who slept with him and been with him. Let's just say Dr. York is a big old freak when it came to being with women. What man is it? He like women. A lot of women. But see, if you just say that, then it don't look bad. Because even people who were the harshest critics of Dr. York, and I'm talking about the Sunni Muslims and all of them going back in the 80s and when they was going back and forth, when he was going back and forth with the Sunnis from the 70s to 80s, even the old timers who I ran into was like, they don't believe that Dr. York molested no kids. And they against Dr. York. They didn't even believe that. They believe maybe the girls that might have been 16 and 17, but then one of the girls goes and says, well, Dr. York, she says, Dr. York, he was like a father to me at 16 and things like that, and we didn't do anything. She said, then when I turned 18, that's when it changed, and me and him started getting together. Question. And this was out one of the girls' mouths. So if you saying that he didn't touch you till you was 18, why would it matter if you was 18 if he's a child molester? Why didn't he touch you when you was 16 or 15 or 14? Why did you say he waited till 18 if the man's a child molester? That don't make no sense. I want people to look at Dr. York's case logically, because that's all it's about tonight. It's about logic. See, black people don't apply logic to nothing. Black people apply emotion and belief to things. If you don't like somebody, they're guilty. That's how black people think. If I don't like you, you're guilty. If I like you, then I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you didn't do it. That's how black people think. That's how black people think. If I don't like you, and if you are a bright man, you're not going to be liked by the black race. Forget about it. That's why I said I already acknowledge myself as a bright man, and I said, man, I'm just coming out the gate saying it. I'm not here to teach black people nothing. I'm here for the bright race who coming out of the black race. I'm not here to teach black people or white people nothing, because they're too simple-minded, and they do stuff like this. You ain't got to worry about me being crucified by the black race or the white race. You won't have to worry about ᴛΓᴇRɾ going through that, because I'm not here to teach black people nothing, because they do stuff like this to Dr. York. They do stuff like this to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed, they told him, oh, he's sleeping with young teenage secretaries, and he doing this, that, and the third, and y'all ran with Malcolm X, a black man. against a bright man like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You ran against the bright man for the black man. And why did y'all uplift Malcolm X? Because Malcolm X was a loser. I'm going to be real with it. Malcolm X was a loser. He didn't do nothing for black people. He did nothing. All the speeches that he spoke in the Nation of Islam was stuff that he was teaching from Elijah Muhammad. Everything that he did that you like Malcolm X for, he did when he was in the Nation of Islam under Elijah Muhammad. So he was following Elijah Muhammad's program. But on his own, Malcolm X was a loser. He ran up under the Sunni Muslims and started following them, but you embraced Malcolm X because he went against Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad was a bright man. He was winning. He was structuring things. He cleaned up the so-called black man and black woman, right? Cleaning them up as best he could, making them have some decency about themselves, building. And like I said, black people don't like that because then it makes you look ineffective. It makes you look like a loser. If you see a man in your presence, in your midst doing this, it makes you look bad. It makes you look like, damn, what you doing with your life? So I got to hate on that guy. I got to find something to hate on him about. Oh, Malcolm X said he's sleeping with underage girls. Oh, y'all right. Yeah, he a dirty old man. He having sex with teenage girls because it makes you feel better. It makes you feel better to go inside the man's bedroom and talk about who he's sleeping with. It makes you feel better to talk about things you know nothing about, hearsay. It makes you feel better because you're a loser in your life. You're doing nothing. You are accomplishing nothing. So it makes you feel better. That's why you do that. That's what the attack on Dr. York is really about. He was a modern-day leader. See, you got these Negroes who will say, oh, don't put him up there. Like I heard the stupid say, don't put Dr. York up there with Marcus Garvey or Noble Drew Ali or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or Malcolm X. First of all, Marcus Garvey didn't succeed at nothing he did. He didn't succeed. He said he was going to take y'all back to Africa. He didn't even go to Africa. So he didn't even succeed. I'm not trying to hate on Marcus Garvey, don't get me wrong, but let's be real here. Logically speaking, Marcus Garvey's movement failed. He gathered people together. Yeah, he did. He gathered the people together. And he made them proud of himself, and I give him the credit for that. But as far as going back to Africa and succeed in that mission, he failed. He didn't do it. He let a lot of black people in his organization mislead him and mess with the funds and do all the things. And like I said, he ended up buying boats that was bad, that wouldn't take the people and do nothing. But he failed in his mission. And what did the white man do? He put him out the country. Locked him up briefly and then put him out of the country. Because that's all it was about with Marcus Garvey. They didn't want Marcus Garvey in America. But he failed. He failed. He tried, but he failed. In his ultimate mission, he failed. He didn't get people back to Africa. He didn't go. Noble Drew Ali. His movement with the Moors and things like that, the Moorish movement didn't produce nothing. They don't own no businesses in the neighborhoods. What did the Moors have? Or what did they get? Being Moorish, talking about being Moorish and things like that, Moorish Americans, what did they actually produce? What businesses did they have? If that was the goal, to have something, to have a community set up and, declare nationality, what did you nationalize? I'm just being real here. What did the Moors have? What businesses did they have? What did he send the people out or set the people out to do? What did they accomplish? Today you got people joining the Moors. They only join it because they want to get out of paying child support. They want to get out of getting locked up. So they want to utilize the Moorish doctrine for that. But other than that, they ain't really with that Moorish thing. They're not with that. But yet black people put Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey on the pedestal. And I'm not saying that they were bad people. They tried. But they did not succeed in raising the people. They didn't. They didn't. They get an E for effort and a T for nice try, but that's not succeeding. That's not succeeding. Then when the guy talking about Clarence 13X, who took the teachings of Elijah Muhammad and the nation out and started bringing it out to the people who he wasn't supposed to do. He was in the Nation of Islam, stealing the teachings out of the Nation of Islam to give to the kids in the street. Yet then you still smoking cigarettes and smoking weed and letting them tell them they could gamble and drink and do all this other stuff. But yet you'll hold him up on a pedestal. You'll hold Clarence 13X up on a pedestal. And he didn't build nothing. A lot of you will hold Clarence 13X up on a pedestal. You'll hold Marcus Garvey up on a pedestal. You'll hold Malcolm X up on a pedestal. People who have not actually done nothing. They have done nothing. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad did something. He built mosques. He built businesses. He cleaned people up. But y'all don't talk about Elijah Muhammad. You don't talk about him. He actually built up a nation within a nation. He did it. He was successful. Dr. York set out to build communities. And he did it. He actually did it. He set out to put all these books out to destroy religion in the minds of the people. And he did it. He did it. All these people that's talking crap about Dr. York now, they doing it after Dr. York locked up 15 years later. Where was you niggas 15 years ago? If you claim that, you ready to get it, Dr. York, why are you waiting? He's 71 years old 15 years later. But when he was in the street, y'all niggas was scared to wipe y'all asses. Y'all wouldn't dare question Dr. York. Now, all of a sudden, everybody got so much to say. The Israelites, the Muslims, the Moors, the 5%ers. But when Dr. York was out here in the streets, y'all wasn't saying shit. Nothing. Nothing, not really, just a little info, Dr. Pork and all that other bullshit y'all say. Because that's all that could come from people who ain't nothing but bullshit. Bunch of nobodies. Zeros. People who are obscure, and like I said, if y'all disappear tomorrow, don't nobody care. Nobody cares. You have not made any impact in your life. The best you can do is talk about Dr. York. You're hoping to make an impact. You're hoping to be seen by talking about Dr. York. How weak is that? How weak and sad is that? That's the only way you can get shine is by talking about the next man. Talking about he a pedophile. Talking about he gay. That sounds like anger more than you being convinced of his guilt or innocence. That sounds more like anger, like you got an axe to grind. More than anything. Like I said, it's bizarre to me how people could say, "Oh, this wasn't a government plot. That this wasn't a setup. That Dr. York, see, he pled guilty. See, and he admitted that he was a child molester and this, that, and the third." We're going to get into that in a minute. See, because people will sit up here and say, this, that, and the third. And like I said, the facts don't matter to people who don't like a person. That's how black people do. You don't like somebody, you don't want to hear nothing they got to say. Whatever negative things you're going to hear, it's going to stick to them like glue. Because you don't like that person. You don't like what they taught. You don't understand what they taught. You think it's BS. So, of course, that's what you're going to do. Dr. York, I don't like him, so he is a child molester. He is nasty. He gay. Don't know the man, never met the man. Don't know none of those women who saying that. Don't know nothing. You going based on what Dr. York claims that he did. And I'm going to tell you why he did that. I'm going to wait till the hour when it come back. I'm not even going to get into that yet. Not even going to get into that yet. But like I said, I approach things logically. I don't approach things emotionally. If I don't like somebody, like I said, I don't let it color my judgment on whether I figure a person is guilty or innocent of something. I don't let that, because like I said, I listen to all that stuff that people say. I listen to what them women said. I listen to something that Chuck Morgan said. I listen to stuff all these people were saying, the so-called people that are saying all this stuff against Dr. York. I listen to his children. I listen to people who are saying that's nonsense. I listen to everything. And what I logically draw from it is a man like Dr. York, who has been on the scene about 40 years teaching, it doesn't make sense to me that he would molest a bunch of children knowing that eventually somebody's going to find out, somebody's going to say something, somebody's going to grow up and say, this man touched me, that man touched me, that he did this to us, he did this to us. Why would you do that? I'm addressing it from a pragmatic standpoint. If the sister said, we didn't start doing nothing until I turned 18, why would he then molest children? Obviously, why would he wait to have sex with a girl who turned 18 if he's into children? If he's molesting children in the community, you mean to tell me their parents is okay with that? Nobody's going to say nothing to their parents? They that scared of this man? He had time to go and touch little children? But yet he got all these kids, right? He got all these kids. He had two and three, 4 different wives at the same time. But that ain't enough for him. He got to have even more sex. He needs some kiddie sex too. He needs some man sex and some kiddie sex. He got all these women. That I guess that was just fake, right? The part about him having the women, that was fake. That was just a persona to hide the fact that he was gay and a child molester, right? Forget the 200 plus children he got. The man gay. That makes a whole lot of sense. Obviously, the man like women, but that ain't enough. Like I said, that ain't enough to lock a man up for that. What straight man don't like women? If anybody else heard that, and they didn't attach Dr. York's name to it, and they said the man had all them children, they'd be like, hell yeah, that man's a heterosexual. Nobody's going to think pedophile. Nobody's going to think homosexual. They're going to think heterosexual, overly heterosexual man. They're going to think that. And that's about right. That's about right. But like I said, you can't lock a man up on that, so you got to make up stuff. He's a child molester. He's taking kids across state lines. He's touching children. Oh, and of course, like the women who angry, they got to attack his manhood. He gay too on top of that. But I'm still waiting for them to produce a man who's saying Dr. York had sex with him. I'm still waiting for that. Still ain't heard it after 15 years. I'm waiting for these guys who was running around with Dr. York, because I'm pretty sure some of them still alive. They might be in their 70s or whatever, or their late 70s. I want to hear some of these guys, some of his old running buddies who said they was going around raping men. This is the nonsense they saying that Dr. York was saying in the community. But like I said, if the man is trying to put out this image of being Melchizedek and Yanun, why would I tell people that? Why would I tell people that when I'm trying to put out this sterling image of myself as the lamb? And because here it is, these people in the community, you're not paying them. You're not paying them anything. If anything, they're going out and peddling and bringing money back to you. So I would want to keep this whole persona of being the lamb, of being angelic, being an extraterrestrial. I want to keep that going. Why am I going to talk about me being a faggot? Why am I going to talk about me raping men? Why would I tell you stuff like that I wouldn't have to even divulge to anybody? Why would I do that? Does that even make sense? If anything, I'm going to keep that image going. From a pragmatic standpoint, I'm going to keep it going. That's why I say I approach things logically. Dr. York is not a stupid man. You cannot do what he did and run a community like that and make the money he made and do all this stuff and be a stupid man. That would be stupid. I'm gonna get that comfortable while I'm just walking around. I'm touching kids. I'm telling you about my sexual exploits. I'm telling you I was gay in jail. I'm telling you I'm a big old homosexual. I like to touch kids. I like men. I'm into everything. I'm gonna do all of that, right? And yet I'm still a lamb. Yet I'm still Yanun. Yet I want y'all to stay in the community and follow me and keep bringing money back to me. I'm gonna tell you I did all that. The very thing that depends on, if you want to keep people in the community giving you money, is you got to keep that persona going. Anti the persona. That don't even make sense. But like I said, when you're dealing with black people, you ain't got to make no sense. When you're dealing with black people, when you're telling black people stuff, you don't have to make sense. Because if black people don't like you, then then whatever negative thing they can throw on you is the truth. If black people don't like you, they can say ᴑᴇRɾ is gay tomorrow. And people who don't like ᴑᴇRɾ is going to believe it. They can say ᴑᴇRɾ touched a bunch of kids and I'm a homosexual or I'm a pedophile, and the people who don't like ᴑᴇRɾ is going to believe it. Don't know me from nowhere. Don't know me. Don't know the people who will say it, but you're going to believe it because you don't like ᴑᴇRɾ, just like you don't like Dr. York. That's really why the whole attack on it is. It's hater therapy. It's therapy for the haters. It makes them feel better about themselves. It makes them feel better. They're losers. They're losers. They're going to die in obscurity. They're going to slip into darkness. Nobody's going to care about none of them niggas in the conscious community. Nobody's going to care if they die tomorrow or 10 years from now, 5 years. You're going to be forgotten about half of them in 5 years. But they're going to still be talking about Dr. York. They're going to be talking about Dr. York 20 years down the line. They're going to be talking about ɪʟʟᴏឡɪ 20 years down the line. They're going to be talking about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad 50 years down the line. They're going to be talking about y'all niggas. Y'all made your name off Dr. York. Y'all still making money off of Dr. York. Y'all still making yourselves relevant off of talking about Dr. York. Man who been off the scene for 15 years. That's power. That's power. This man, an old man in jail somewhere, and you still talking about him. You still trying to get props off that man there. You actually up there interviewing people, setting up YouTube pages to talk about Dr. York. That's pathetic. I'm gonna just be real with you. I just don't understand that. I mean, you can say all you want to. Yeah, I'm doing it because I want the truth to be known. Nigga, you've been saying the same shit for 15 years. How much you gonna keep repeating this stuff? Okay, we got it. You said Dr. York is a child molester. He touched a bunch of kids. Unless you're gonna add some more shit to it, which y'all niggas probably gonna end up doing anyway. We get it. We heard it. We heard you 15 years ago. Okay, we get it. He's a child molester, like you say, according to you. He's a homosexual, whatever, blah blah blah. He'll be into bestiality in another 2 years. His wives. Oh yeah, I remember he had his favorite German Shepherd that he had sex with his dog too. You'll be saying that in 2 years. He was into bestiality too. Watch, right? You watch. They'll just keep it going, and you simple-minded niggas gonna believe it. Because this is hater therapy. These people, this is the only way they can be relevant. Because if there was no Dr. York, who would Chuck Morgan be? Who would any of these people be if it wasn't for Dr. York? Who would even want to listen to your story? Who would care about you? Nobody. That's real. You keep saying the same thing. He was abused. Yeah. We get it. We heard it for the last 15 years. Yeah. Okay. Next. Oh, that's right. There is no next for you. There's no next for you. You niggas are going up there to talk to get it, Prince York. Oh, he's the next coming of Dr. York. So you figure, oh, I'm gonna get it, Dr. York. So I'm gonna tear down his doctrine by dissing him to his son. You niggas are sick, man. You are mentally ill, and all the Dr. York bashing in the world is not gonna help you. No, all the Dr. York bashing in the world is not gonna help you. Y'all done slipped into darkness, man, and you don't even know it. You already been judged. You're sick. And I'm going to dedicate this song to you. We'll be right back. You know, the biggest thing the haters of Dr. York harp on is, oh, well, why, if Dr. York is innocent, then why he took a guilty plea? Why did he admit to molesting the kids, and why did he admit to doing all that? And I thought about that myself. I said, you know what? Why the hell did he do that? In the beginning, he was saying he was innocent, right? In the beginning, he said he was innocent. He pled innocent to all of that, all the charges. Now, they didn't have any physical evidence, right? The people who was recanting their statements, there was no physical evidence in none of this stuff linking him to any rape charges, right? There was no pornography he found, all this other nonsense, right? All the stuff people were saying, there was no evidence to. So he could have just kept saying he was innocent. But why did he say he was guilty? Answer. The answer he gave, and it sounded like it made perfect sense. They threatened him, and they said the FBI told him that if he didn't take the guilty plea, that they was going to lock up his wife and the other sisters on the land, and that they would never see their children again. They were going to take their children. And that's why he pled guilty, because all they really wanted was Dr. York. That's all they wanted. They didn't want the women, but they threatened. They knew they couldn't get Dr. York if he pled innocent, and he kept using all this to talk about the diplomatic immunity and pleading innocent and things like that, that the court, the hearing was going to keep going on. They just basically wanted to give Dr. York that charge and wanted him to go away, get locked up, and that was it. They wanted to save money. They wanted to save time. They wanted him to take a guilty plea and whatnot. And they said at one point in time, because he could have been out, they said that he could have got a really lower sentence if he would have agreed not to teach anymore after he got out of jail, 4 or 5 years, if that. Because one of his sons said that. They said he would have to leave the country, right, and not have no contact with the Nuwaubians no more, not teach no more here. And basically, at one point I heard they said they wanted him to disavow everything that he was teaching over the last 40 years. Basically say everything that he taught was a lie. They wanted him to say that. But now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why would they care about what Dr. York taught? If this is a rape case, if this is about child molestation, why are they going into what Dr. York was teaching and what was in his books and what he was writing? Why do they care about that? Why do they care about that? Why would they care what Dr. York, why would the government, why would the FBI care about what Dr. York was talking about and teaching? Obviously, it was real. And they wanted to smear his name in the minds of black people who accepted and heard his teachings over the years. They wanted him to say that what he was saying wasn't true, to disavow everything and just go away. That would have made them happy. Then they don't care about no damn child molestation charges. They'll trump all that up. They don't care about that. The FBI, the government don't care about that. If they want you locked up, they're going to lock you up. And Dr. York obviously knew that they wanted him. That's really what they told him. They said they want him. They said they'll let the women go and leave them alone. They won't charge him with nothing if he pleads guilty. And I believe that because he didn't have to plead guilty. He took the L for those sisters. And the fact that with their children, because why else would he have to plead guilty? He could have kept saying he didn't do it. You could keep saying you didn't do it, and if they was, because he ended up getting 135 years anyway. What was they going to give him? What was they going to give him? 10,000 years? Whether he said yes or no, to be able to take that plea like that, to take that plea, and you have to have that mark on you for the rest of your life. That's a hell of a thing. But obviously, that's the sacrifice. That's the sacrifice. Because all he had to do is keep saying he didn't do it. They didn't have no evidence or nothing. All they had was a bunch of people that was hearsay, and half those people was recanting the stuff they said. They was recanting the stuff they said. They said they lied. And nobody forced them to say that. And one of the biggest people, Habiba Washington, she told, well, I ain't going to go into it, but she told my brother back at NYU, New York University, about what she said. And she was one of the people that was saying this stuff. She got 2 children by Dr. York. She said that, I'm going to just tell you what she told my brother after the case. She said that she lied. And the government threatened to take her children away if she didn't say that he molested them or molested them kids. She said it out of her own mouth. She had no reading a lot of my brother. This was at New York University when she was going there. You understand that? This is how thick the plot gets. They want to see a bright man brought down to the depths of a black man. The white man wants to see a bright man brought down, and the black man, the simple-minded Negroes, the do-nothing, downtrodden Negroes want to see the same thing. Any other time, the white man is the devil, and he a liar and a deceiver. So when he says the things about Dr. York, and when Dr. York was explaining why he took the guilty plea, you don't want to hear that. He lying. He making it up. But any other time, if it was somebody you like Dr. Ben, if it was Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, right? Phil Valentine, anybody else you like, and they said the same thing. Yeah, see, they making Phil take that thing. They made Dr. Ben say that. He ain't say that. They was making him say that. They threatened to do this to Dr. Ben, so he did this. Y'all would believe that. So why is it hard to believe that? Or why is it hard to think that they forced this man to take that plea? And he took it so that those sisters can go free. And they went free right after that. They went free. They showed them on camera running out the jail, had their stuff and everything. They went back with their children. They went right back with their children. So he took an L for them. He could have been selfish and said he ain't do it, and they all would have still been locked up. They would have still been locked up. They forced him to take that plea. You understand? Just like they ran they did his trial on Martin Luther King's birthday, which is against the law, was against federal law. You ain't supposed to have no trial going on no federal holiday. Martin Luther King's birthday is a federal holiday. How are they running his trial on a federal holiday? So all that was trumped up. Denying him his attorneys and stuff like that. They did the same. They do stuff like that. If they want you locked up, the government wants you locked up, it's nothing you can do. They're going to figure out something to lock you up on. Right now, you got people like Obama and them. They got where they could just come take you off the street and detain you for as long as they want to. The government could detain you for as long as they want to with no charge. None. So you really think it's hard to believe that they threatened Dr. York to say that those sisters, his wife and those other sisters, they would take their children away and lock them up as well? You know, they panicking, they crying, they upset. Like I said, he's a man. He took the L. He took the L. He took it. And like I said, you got people who wanted to see him fall down. You got people who hated him because he made them look bad. He made a lot of people look bad. Doing what he did, that community in Bushwick, those communities all around the country. You understand? Tamaray, Egypt in the West, all of that. Driving down the damn 142 highway and seeing damn pyramids, whether they wooden or not, don't matter. He actually built something for the people. He was trying to build a theme park, amusement park, just something to come to where you could see an Egyptian style theme park, whatever. He actually built for his people. He did something. He did something. Community, books, he built something. He didn't have to physically give nobody no money. He didn't have to do that. What he built up in the people's minds was priceless. What he built up in my mind was priceless. I can say that. You understand? I looked in his eyes. I know what I'm looking at. And like I said, it's not personal. It's not personal. It's not based in emotion. I'm not like you Negroes. I don't think like a black man. I think like a bright man because I am. And like I said, logically, as a bright man hearing all this stuff, I know what makes sense and what don't make sense. You can't just tell me anything. You understand? You can't tell me that horse piss is peach tea. You can't tell me that horse piss is peach iced tea, and I'm going to believe it. No, thank you. No. I think that's dangerous when you have a bright man who thinks versus a black man who believes. That's dangerous when you got black men that believe versus bright men who think. See, you had a lot of believers out there, a lot of black men. And that's why I said I'm not going to make the mistake Dr. York made. And I said the only mistake Dr. York made was that he was teaching black people. Same thing with Elijah Muhammad, but they didn't understand bright at the time. They was trying to do it in their actions and separating and trying to make a better so-called black man or pushing us into the state of brightness. But ᴛΓᴇRＳᴘᴘ in this go round and this stage going forward, I'm not interested in the black race because I see what you black people do to your leaders, man. I see what black people do. I see what you do to your leaders. I see what you do to your bright leaders, to your luminaries. I see what you do to them. You understand? You hate on them. You turn your back on them. See, that's what happens when you install the God and the God mindset in the people, and that's why I stopped doing it with my people. I stopped with the God complex. Because along with the God complex comes the demonic or the devilish complex, the polarity. See, you install the mind of God in the people, then you're going to also install the mind of the devil in them. Meaning that one minute they're going to love you and praise you and do good by you, next minute they're going to be stabbing you in your goddamn back. Turncoats I had in the Republic of Mentellect. The same ones who was praising me and calling me brother mentor, then turn around and stab me in my back. And I didn't do nothing to them. You ain't got to do nothing to these Negroes. All you got to do is shine. All you got to do is be bright. That's enough to make them angry. That's enough to make them jealous. They'll harbor that kind of envy and jealousy in them just because you being who you are. Dr. York being who he was, shining, being that bright man, right, standing up, that made people mad. That made people mad who will never stand up, who will always be in obscurity, who will always be black people in darkness and ignorance. So, of course, they want to pull Dr. York down into that. Of course, they got to pull him down into that, and even beneath them. They got to make him the worst man on the planet. He got to be a child molester, a faggot, everything under the sun. A thief, a liar. He got to be everything. False prophet. They got to be everything. That's what black people do to the bright man. That's what they do, because they ain't got nothing to offer the people. So they got to make themselves better than you. They got to say, like I said, Dr. York wrote all the books. So what? He wrote all the books. At least I ain't know he a child molester. Well, Dr. York built through communities. So what? He a child molester. But Dr. York, you know, he had to know all these languages, teaching people to learn. So what? He was a faggot. That's what makes them feel better. That makes them feel better. That's hater therapy. That's the therapy for the hater, to pull everything around them that is good, tear it down around their ears so they can feel better about their lives. Especially you so-called black men. When Dr. York called you out, he said a lot of you so-called black men ain't nothing but a bunch of females, man. Under the cover, under your male hard masculine skin, y'all a bunch of bitches, man. Y'all are a bunch of effeminates. That's why you do stuff like that. Most of the stuff you guys are doing, listening to them females, is like gossip. A lot of you niggas are gossip hounds now, man. You actually going to some place you actually getting on the train like that guy was asking Prince York. You actually got on the train, went up there to Harlem to insult Dr. York, to his son. That made your day. This is your life. To actually get on the train, go up to an event, to go in and take shots at Dr. York, a man who's been locked up for 15 years. You a jackass, man. You a jackass. That Spanish dude. And it wasn't you guys that was doing that shit on camera, man. Y'all an embarrassment, man. Y'all are an embarrassment to yourselves, to black people. You understand? You are an embarrassment. You niggas in the conscious community are an embarrassment to black people, man. That's why I'm glad I'm not of the black race. I'm glad I'm not. You niggas are disgusting, man, on many levels. That you could do that to somebody who actually was successful in doing what they was doing, just because you wasn't with the program, just because you wasn't about that, you going to tear down another so-called black man? But like I said, we understand he wasn't a black man, because if he was a black man, he would have been a failure. And y'all can accept failure from the black man. You can accept that. You can't accept success from the bright man, because that put him on another level. You can't accept that. It make you look bad. Dr. York in his 71 years made a lot of people look bad. You can question where he was born at. Oh, he said he was born here. He said he was born there. He said he was born over here. So what? What the hell you care where he was born? You hate the fact that he exists. You don't give a shit where he was born. You don't even like the fact that he exists. What do you care if he was born in in Sudan, or was he born in Kenya? Wherever the hell he say he was born, on planet Riz? What the fuck you care? What do you care? You don't care about, you don't even like him existing. You wish he wasn't even born. Because like I said, it shines light on you. And I say, excuse me for my language tonight, but it's Raw and Uncut Saturday. Sometimes it's going to get like this. I'm not Reverend Newbin, and I'm not Minister Newbin. You understand that? I'm not the Reverend Newbin. I'm not Minister Newbin. I'm not Imam Newbin. See, Dr. York, as far as I'm concerned, he was too nice to you niggas. He was too nice. See, he was too nice. I won't make that mistake. I won't even deal with you. Last mistake, and the first and the last mistake I ever made was I went on ᴛᴛᴇ TV. That will never happen. All praise due to Amen. Because one thing I say about that helped me definitely realize the difference between the black race and the bright race. That helped me a lot. That helped me a lot. And Prince York, I really hope that you realize this. I really hope that you, by going and doing these things like you're doing, what you're doing is falling on deaf ears. They don't care about what you got to say. You understand? They don't care about what you got to teach. They don't care. All they care about is downplaying your father. You understand? That's all. Why can't Dr. York levitate out of his jail cell if he could levitate and walk out of clothes? Why can't Dr. York do that? How come you was following Dr. York for 20 years and slaying up with him? Them chicks on the thing. Laugh at that. You was Dr. York bed wench for all them years. He could accomplish that. You read his books. You laid with him. You worshipped him. Now all of a sudden you downplaying him because you mad. Or whatever power, whatever ability Dr. York had as a young man when he was receiving that power, and I acknowledge him telling the truth of him receiving entities coming into him and coming in and out of him. I seen his face change. I saw that on the line. I saw all of that. That's my personal experience. I'm not going to share that, but I saw all of that stuff, so I know it's real. Now, is these beings with Dr. York now? No. No. They ain't with him now because his mission's complete. Dr. York's mission is complete. He did what he had to do. So in these later years of his life, in his 70s and whatnot, like I said, his time is he sealed his thing. He did his mission. He was successful. He built up the communities, and he taught the people, and that was it. He destroyed the religion in the minds of our people. You understand? And he destroyed a lot of you Negroes in the process. He destroyed. He busted. They definitely bust down the 5% nation. I know a lot of you guys are still mad about that. How Dr. York bust y'all down in the 80s. How he bust down the Israelites in the 80s and the 90s. He bust all of y'all down. He had 5%ers leaving the 5% nation and joining the Nuwapian nation and the Nubian nation. He had them leaving over. He had some people coming from Bambaataa thing. And I'm going to say this about a lot of you niggas that's trying to link Dr. York with Africa Bambaataa. Stop that. Stop that. That's something you making up. Whatever African Bambaataa did, you understand? I don't know African Bambaataa. I don't care about African Bambaataa. Whatever he did with men, whatever, that's his business. It ain't had nothing to do with Dr. York. Absolutely nothing. You understand? So stop trying to make that link. African Bambaataa was just somebody who liked the doctrine and he wore some feathers and whatnot. But stop trying to make it seem like African Bambaataa was really rocking with the Nubian nation like that. Still was repping that whole Zulu nation thing. So he was not rocking with the Nuwapians like that. That's a lie. You understand? But like I said, for a lot of you Johnny-come-latelys who wasn't there, because I was there. A lot of you Johnny-come-latelys, a lot of you guys are talking shit and talking about, oh, Dr. Pork, what's up with Dr. Pork? You niggas was just still with the Dr. Pork thing. That's the best you could do, you insults. You niggas really don't, you 5% and you guys was doing it. You guys and you Pan-African guys, you don't need to talk about nobody. You guys are a bunch of losers, man. Y'all a bunch of zeros, man. Y'all a bunch of obscure niggas, man. You ain't got no plan for black people. You're finished, man. You got no plan for your own life. You guys are a bunch of zeros, man. And like I said, all the name calling you doing on Dr. York is not going to change that. But I understand it's your hater therapy. That's what you do. Hater therapy is what you do. But I'm letting a lot of these young people know out here, because like I said, this broadcast tonight is not even about you. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than Dr. ᴛＧᴇRＳᴘᴘyy. Why I brought this out is because, again, we as the bright nation, as the bright race, separate from the black race, we need to see and judge things from a logical standpoint. Judgment. We don't make judgments based on likes and dislikes. I never base nothing I said tonight, on whether I like Dr. ᴛＧᴇRＳᴘᴘyy or whether I don't like Dr. ᴛGᴇRSᴘᴘyy. I don't judge people based on whether I like them or dislike them. I'll judge you based on what you've done, your work. And I've seen, if it's a scoreboard that's to be kept, Dr. York is at 100. You niggas at 0 still. You 5%ers, you Pan-African niggas, you conscious niggas. You understand? You read RBG niggas that's talking all this shit about Dr. York. Y'all at 0 still. You Moorish guys, all you guys are still at 0. Dr. York left the damn Bushwick community in ruins, and people still are able to generate energy off that. He left that damn near in ruins. You understand? And people still talking about that man 15 years later down the line. He's still relevant. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying you stand the test of time. You Google Dr. York, you look up Dr. York, you're going to see on YouTube his lectures. You're going to see his lectures. You're going to see books. You're going to see classes he taught. But leave it to you niggas, you're going to try to put the stain of a child molester on him based off of something some women said, some females, some angry-ass chicks that was laid up with Dr. York. Some angry-ass, bitter chicks that was laid up with Dr. York. Some ghetto-ass black nigger women that laid up with Dr. York. That was a part of the community in Bushwick. A bunch of obscure chicks who, like I said, 15 years later, you still talking about Dr. York? And you going to tell me you not getting a check? If you ain't getting a check, you a goddamn fool. You a fool. Because how long you going to keep saying the same thing over and over again? Like I said, some more going to be added. We are back. Like I said, I'm doing this not just for Malachi Z. York. I'm doing it for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, for myself, and all future bright men that's going to come into and lead the bright race going forward. This is why the separation in the black race and the bright have to exist. It has to happen because just as many people who are thinking on this level, we need a voice. We need a voice that's separate from the black race. Because you see what black people do to their leaders. You see what they do to their leaders. The black and the Latino, see what they do to their leaders. Which we all one people. You see what they do to their leaders. They destroy them out of envy and out of jealousy. like children. That's why we have to separate ourselves from the black race, man. See, that's why we got to separate ourselves, because brilliant leaders who are coming to raise the people are not appreciated by the so-called black race. They're not appreciated because the so-called black race, they've already chosen who their leader is going to be, and that's the white man. That's the white man. They already chose their leader, whether it's in science, whether it's in the news they get, whether it's in information they get. They already chose their leaders, whether it's metaphysics, whether it's Egyptology, whatever it is. They've already chose who their leader is. They don't want the so-called bright man, a.k.a. the so-called black man, the bright man, to lead their people. They don't want that. They can accept anything from a white man, right? But they don't accept it from the bright man, the one who is leading the people. And they can accept black failure. They can accept they black leaders to be failures. You understand? They can accept that because, like I said, they got that Jesus mentality of following a loser. You understand? Following somebody who is not successful in their mission. They got that mentality instilled in them heavily. Talking about Dr. York and risk and things like that and levitation. Dr. York was speaking about future events. Dr. York was speaking about future capabilities. When he put himself up there levitating over people's head and talking about risk, he was talking about future encounters, things he might have had in private with himself, personal encounters, future encounters. These are things he encountered amongst himself, and he put them in pictures. And what's wrong with that? Yeah, we do have the capability to levitate. We do have the capability to have telepathy, psychometry, clairvoyance. He spoke about future capabilities of a chosen people, and he put himself there in future tense. He put himself there in future tense. He was speaking about himself in the future, about the sacred ash in 1970 and all this other stuff. And you saying, oh, he did that so he could get people to come in the community and con people out of their money. And what people got conned out of their money? How do you con broke people out of money? The goal was to build a community, and he did that. Through hook or crook, however he got it, and whether they had to rob, steal, beg, and borrow to get it done, they got it done. Beg, steal, borrow, rob, steal, whatever they had to do, they got it done. And they worked it together. They made it happen. And he was successful for that. And not just in New York. He did it in Philly, Virginia. He did it on D.C. There was communities everywhere popping up. You understand? And you want to get on the fact that he was a singer and he had his hair in a press and curl and all. You want to get into all that stuff, and he looked like he had on makeup and eyeliner. So what? That's what all them goddamn performers had. So what? He can't sing because he was an imam and he was talking about the Quran and the Bible. He can't sing neither. There's something wrong with that. But that's the mindset of black people, because you're always looking for something. He can't sing soul music. He can't sing disco music. He can't sing R&B. Oh, because he's an imam. Because he was a rabbi, whatever. He can't sing neither, right? He wearing his hair this way. What are you? What the hell are you niggas? Damn, you the grooming police? What are you, the grooming police? Truth of the matter is, no matter what Dr. York did, you would have had a problem with it. Oh, why he wearing his hair like that? He got on eyeliner. He looked gay. He looked gay, my nigga. That nigga Dr. York a pervert. Don't even know Dr. York. Don't even know him. But y'all, like I say, black people, you got no problem doing that. You got no problem doing that. Tearing down the next black, you got no problem doing that. None. But let it be some loser Negroes who ain't accomplished nothing. And like I said, I'm not even taking shots at Garvey or Malcolm. I'm not taking shots at them like that. They obviously did what they could do up to the best of their ability, but they didn't succeed. They didn't succeed. It's not a shot at them either way. They didn't succeed. Dr. York succeeded. He succeeded. He succeeded. There was nothing left for him to do when by the time he got locked up, he was already done. He already did what he had to do. His mission was complete. Now you got his children and other people trying to continue on with it, writing books or taking the books he wrote and trying to, within that circle. But that circle is complete. We on to something else now. But we're not going to allow a bright luminary like Dr. Malachi York or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad be tore down. Not going to allow that. At least not on my watch. I'm going to say something about it. I can't control what simple-minded Negroes say, simple-ass black people say, bunch of losers that they are, I can't control what they say in their fits of emotional rants and they fits of hater they hater therapy, you know. Because like I said, I'll be the target next. They'll tear me down. They'll call me all kind of names. Don't know me from nowhere. I done had that happen already. So my skin is thick with all that. I'm good. But understand this is where it's coming from. This is what you're dealing with. This is what you're dealing with. So I would advise Dr. York's children, the ones who are still loyal to their father and loyal to what he's doing, loyal to his mission and what he's done, don't waste your time with these people, man. Don't waste your time within the conscious community. Don't waste your time. Let me take a call. 954.
I ain't saying you was wrong. You need to go emotional with the man. You know what I'm saying?
954.
Because once we settle.
Okay, y'all got to stop pressing 1, man, because I'm taking your calls and I'm assuming that you want to talk. So you got to stop pressing 1. But like I said, I would advise his children who are still loyal to their father and what their father stood for, stop wasting your time with these people, man. Stop wasting your time. Stop trying to make a name for yourself within the conscious community because it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. These people already got their minds made up. They don't like your father. That's what it comes down to with black people. You ain't figured that out already, Prince York? Black people don't go based off of logic. What you're saying, some of the things you're saying are illogical. But when you start dealing with people who are emotional and they make decisions based on emotion, they make their judgments, all their judgments is based on emotion. They like you one minute, they hate you the next. When you do that, you're going to be caught in the same cycle of madness, the same circle of madness that they caught in. And see, Dr. York had a lot of people following him like that. 470.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, I just wanted to say I appreciate all the work you're putting in. And thank you very much for those of us who don't really have a voice. But, hey, man, I was 23 years old back when this happened with Dr. York, and I was good friends with Dr. York's father-in-law, Fred Johnson, and his wife, Kathy. That's Kathy's father. And I was driving her and him to court, okay? And I was there when she was told by Doc that he was going to take a plea to let them off. She came out crying. We were like, what's going on? She told us on the way home. You know what I'm saying? I was there for all that. So, when I mentioned this on Chuck Morgan's site, he calls me a liar and, tells me I don't know what I'm talking about. But I was there for that firsthand. And I was there in court. I sat right behind Doc, and I saw it was a kangaroo court. That's it, man.
Of course.
But anyway,
of course,
I appreciate it. And
thank you, brother. Well, Chuck Morgan, obviously, he's getting paid. He's getting paid. These guys are getting money still. So they're going to say that. They got to keep up the charade. They got to keep this going after 15 years because, like I said, without Dr. York, they're not relevant. Who is Chuck Morgan if there was no Dr. York?
Definitely, man. And, hey, I love the work you're doing, and I'm with you 100%.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. All right. See, that's real. That's real right there. That's real talk. See, the haters don't want you to hear that. The haters don't want you to hear that. I wish the brother could have gave his name and whatnot. And like I said, you got a lot of people out here who still ride for the old man, who still ride for Dr. Malachi York, and I ride for the master teacher, man. I still ride for him. He's still my mentor, man. Even though I'm out here teaching and building up this nation and building up this republic, I'm still gonna represent for Dr. Malachi York as a fellow bright receiver, as a fellow bright man. I'm gonna still represent for him. Just like I'm representing for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I say a lot of you people that follow them, who claim to follow him, like I said, y'all not no good representations of Dr. Malachi York. You're not. You're not. You're a bunch of poor black carbon copies. You understand? You're a bunch of poor black carbon copies. A lot of you certain people that sold out, who decide to get a check and sell out your integrity and sell out what you know is right because you wanted some money. You wanted to make some money off Dr. York's name. And you wanted to trade in, on his name so you can get you some Louis Vuitton and some Gucci and some all this other stuff. Well, you trade it in on that. You know what I'm saying? So you can get some of these worldly possessions out here. You're gonna pay for that. You're gonna pay for that. You're gonna pay. When you do people dirty like that, you're gonna pay for that. Get ready for that judgment. That judgment is going to come heavy because everything you do, and you know what you're doing is wrong, and you know that you lied, you know that you misled people, you Jacob Yorks of the world, Chuck Morgans, all you guys that did the chicks that did that stuff, that said all this crap about Dr. York on your hater rampage, get your check, get your good nigga check. Like I said, it's not going to last. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. You understand? Enjoy it. Because you're going to choke on it. When you do things like that, same thing I tell the people that stabbed me in the back, who did me dirty, enjoy it. Enjoy the designs you stole for American Pharaoh. Enjoy it. You in the same boat as your Chuck Morgans, the Norman Dares and Nezzy Mentors. Yeah, I mentioned you. You in the same boat. Y'all all the same spirit, man. The same foul black spirit. Same ones. The same ones. The crime that Dr. York did was be a bright man. Be a luminary, to be a bright man. And he tried to drag you black people into the light. He tried to drag you forward into the light, into the brightness. He tried to drag you forward. And y'all didn't want to go forward. See, because when you start dragging people forward, when you pulling people into the brightness, and it starts to expose people for who they really are. It exposes people for who they really are. And they don't want to be exposed. They don't want to show who they really are, what they're really made of. They don't want to show that. They would rather hide in the dark and, hide behind names on Facebook and YouTube. Dr. York is a child molester. Enough said. Like some guy was coming on I did a show and I said, and I rep for Dr. York. I said, yeah, man, that was a bright man there. And I said, a lot of y'all didn't deserve Dr. York. You didn't deserve Dr. York. Just like I said, a lot of you people in the Nation of Islam didn't deserve the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because right after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad died, what did y'all do? Y'all followed his son into Sunni Islam under the goddamn Arabs. Under them damn Arabs. The same people that had y'all in slavery. Under them funky-ass Arabs, you followed Wallace Muhammad under them. Right into slavery. You understand that? So like I said, you didn't deserve the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And a lot of y'all didn't deserve Dr. Malachi Z. York. This is what you do to your bright luminaries. This is what you do to them. That's why I said Nuben Menkarayzs ain't making the same mistake. That's why I say from the gate, Mentellect ain't for black people. So you ain't got to worry about no black people being with us. That's why I said we doing everything in our power to keep black people out of the Republic of Mentellect. $100 a month, whatever we got to do. We don't want no black people with us. We only want the bright race. We making the separation. The same way the Jews made the separation from the rest of the white race, we as the bright race, the Mentellians, are making the separation from black people. Like I'm gonna tell you, like I'm gonna tell you, Prince York, you gonna figure it out. You gonna have to learn the hard way because you a young man. You a young man. You have to learn the hard way. Ain't no reforming black people. Black people are finished, man. Black people are finished. I'm 46 years old, and I realized that. I started listening to your father and came under his tutelage at the age of 17, 18 years old. And it took me years to figure it out. But like I said, you got time. You going to figure it out. You're going to be banging your head against the wall, going out here debating with these fools in the conscious community, talking to these idiots, when your father, like I said, that was just so beneath your father to even respond and answer these people or even entertain these people. You as his son should not be doing this, should not be doing that. Focus on your community. Focus on your Nuwapian community and the people who are about what you about. Just like we focus in the bright race and the Mentellians, we focus on what we about. I don't focus on the black race. I might do a few shows here and there, and not only do that to bring the bright ones out of the black race. But damn, I ain't got no plan for black people because there is no plan for black people. Black people are finished because you got people like this speaking up. You got people, the black race is full of niggas like this in the conscious community. Full of people like this. Who about foolishness, who got the same mentality as the damn devil, man. They want to pull down another a person that look like you. All because you jealous and you angry about your life. Because your life has not amounted to nothing. And even if you going up here claiming, oh, Dr. York did this thing, what are you doing to help the people that got supposedly got molested? What are you doing? Are you going to seek them out, give them some kind of counseling? You don't care about that. This is just something. You ain't looking for that. You don't care whether Dr. York did it or not. This is just something to make you feel better about yourself. That nigga ain't nothing. He molested kids. He ain't nothing. He a faggot. He molested kids. He ain't nothing. That make you feel better. It's about you. It's not about Dr. York. See, we realize that with you haters. We realize that with you. It's about money that you can get and how you can make yourself relevant. That's all it's about. You don't care about no so-called victims. You don't care about that. You'll create some victims if you got to. You'll create some victims. You'll go and get people that obvious telling bold-faced lies because your money. If Dr. York comes out of jail and all that goes down, the money train stops for you. The money train stops for you. The YouTube videos stop for you. You got these same tired-ass chicks up here saying the same thing over and over again for the last 15 years. Ain't nothing new coming forward unless y'all manufacturing stuff. You understand? You got nothing. And like I said, if Dr. York died tomorrow, he gonna still did more than anything you ever did. Even made y'all, he even made y'all a living. Y'all even was able to make some money off Dr. York, off of his back. So let me go ahead and read these questions before I get out of here. What is hate therapy? What is the hate therapy behind the illogical attacks on Dr. Malachi Z. York? Simply put, it's all about a bunch of people, a bunch of insecure black men who don't like Dr. York because when Dr. York was out here, he had it on smash. Dr. York was smashing it up. Nobody could touch his doctrine. Nobody could touch his language game, his book game. Nobody could touch Dr. York. He ripped apart the Israelites. He ripped apart the Muslims. He ripped apart the Christians. Nobody could touch Dr. York. Nobody. Now they wait till he go to jail to start attacking Dr. York, to attack the doctrine and all this other stuff. Because they didn't want it with Dr. York when he was out here. Because Dr. York would write a book, do a video, whatever, and crush whoever had something to say. They didn't want it with Dr. York. These guys were like little flies, man, little flies and roaches that done ate and got big. As you know, as Dr. York been locked up, they've been eating off of his image. You understand? So, like I said, hater therapy is about the hater. It's about you black male, aka females, and Spanish ones who was doing it. You understand? You Spanish ones, black ones, all the same niggas. It's about you hating on Dr. York because, like I said, you're not men. You hated on a real man because you're not men. So, like I said, the whole him being a child molester and coming with that nonsense, that makes you feel better about you being a loser. Why are these people attacking Dr. York after 15 years? Because they got nothing else to talk about. They ain't got no lives. What else they going to talk about but Dr. York? The biggest thing that ever hit the damn so-called black community in over 30 years, 40 years, since the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed away. He's the biggest thing to hit. I'm just the next big thing. I'm the next big thing. So expect this nonsense from me. But like I said, I don't care what niggas think about me. So I'll cut you off at the knees. Say it. Say whatever you want. I don't care what niggas think about me at all. Because I'm not here for black people. So whatever. All right? Because I see what you do. Right? Like I said, they ain't got no lives. They got to talk about Dr. York. They got no lives. Check into their life and see what they doing. Certain people, like I said, they out here just trying to chase money. They a bunch of goddamn bums and vagabonds. Can't rub two nickels together. Do the charges really make sense? No, they don't. Because I listen to these women talk. I listen with a clear mind, no biasness on whether he did or didn't do it. And I was listening to for the sense and the sensibility what I was hearing, and I heard a lot of stuff that just didn't add up. I'm sorry. And I went on the guy Chuck Morgan site and I questioned you, man. And you didn't answer a lot of the questions. You just gave the same wooden ass answers, man. I posed logical questions to you that you didn't answer. Because it's not about that. It's about what you getting. Why do people want to destroy Dr. York's image? Because it makes them feel better. They got the same mentality as the white man. What this nigga think he doing? Who this nigga think he is? Told you they work off the same thing. The devil and the ones who call themselves gods work off the same energy. That's why we don't rock with God or the devil in the Republic of Mental Life. We are the judges, man. We are the lords, man. We stand over God and the devil, man. We ultra stand God and the devil. We stand over all that to the point of ultra standing. What effect will this have on the future mindset of the black and bright race? Well, for the black race, you get to see the pettiness of black people firsthand, and for the bright race, the same thing. And hopefully you'll come on to the bright side. Leave the black race behind because they don't fail. Because this is who they got representing them in these days and times. People in the conscious community and simple-minded Negroes who ain't got nothing else better than a bunch of hating-ass Negroes. Losers. And that's it. Join us Monday night for the next ᴛＧᴇRSᴘᴘ Radio broadcast. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkarayzs. This has been ᴛGᴇRSᴘᴘ Radio. Good night.
It's the Republic of Mentellect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, and then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we can do.